Hey guys, it's your girl Kizzy Rock, and yes, Kizzy Rock is my birth given name. Happy Thursday afternoon, guys. Want to say hey to all my subscribers, new as well as seasoned. Got a word for you. Tap in. Happy Thursday, guys. I want to piggyback really quickly off of a conversation I was having with someone earlier today. We're speaking about why is leveling up so difficult. And so I was sharing with her, it's difficult because you're going against the grain. You're really going against some of the things that you were taught. You're conditioned to do things a certain way, and when you start to level up, you realize that was never the way. And so you have to go against the grain. Leveling up is hard because a lot of the people that you want to take with you, these could be like childhood friends, etc. They're not ready to go just yet. Maybe at some point they would be, but a lot of the times when God gives you that nudge, like, hey, come on, I got better for you, I need you to go higher, you're going to have to go alone. Leveling up is hard because a lot of people don't like to do things alone, and there's going to be levels in seasons where you have to do things alone. You just have to. Leveling up is hard because in some seasons you're going to feel like you can't go left or you can't go right, but you really want to go back, but you can't go back. So you're in the middle of nowhere, right? You know you can't go back because there's just nothing back there. But you don't know exactly where you're going. You just know that God has better and higher. You feel it in your spirit. You may not even always see it, but you feel it in your spirit that there's more, and I got to get to this more. Leveling up is hard because you have to deal with people saying, oh, well, you forgot about us, or, we don't see you anymore. We don't hear from you anymore. And all along you're struggling on these levels, and you know that where you're going is going to benefit them as well. So you're trying to please both people, or both sides, if you will. And you're trying to do that in the middle of the ocean. Leveling up is hard because it requires you to be teachable, and you have to learn something for each level. So when you feel like you've mastered something, or you feel like you've got all this information and knowledge and insight, and God taps you and says, okay, hey, next level time. You have to be vulnerable in order to be teachable, to get the wisdom and the knowledge of individuals who have mastered the areas that you are trying to go. Doesn't mean they're perfect. Doesn't mean they know everything, because they're still climbing levels. You're going to always be climbing levels as long as we're here. Leveling up is hard because your conditioning and your default setting is going to be the thing that keeps wanting to pull you backwards, because it's easier. It's what you know, it's what you're used to, it's what you're accustomed to. Where leveling up is going to challenge you. It's iron sharpening iron. Leveling up is hard because you're going to be under constant attack. Just imagine yourself, picture a ladder. And imagine yourself climbing this ladder, not fast, but slow, step by step. And when you get to maybe the middle of that ladder, and you're high up there, right? And there are rocks being thrown at you while you're trying to hold on to this ladder in the middle of nowhere. Well, those rocks are the equivalent of being attacked spiritually. Imagine yourself being hit with these rocks in the middle of nowhere on top of a ladder, and then the backpack that you're carrying is becoming heavier and heavier, trying to take you back down to the first step on the ladder. So you have this weight on you. You have the rocks coming at you, and you still don't even know where you're going. But you know you can't go back. But you have to keep climbing up. Because up is destiny. Leveling up is hard because it's going to always feel like someone is attacking you when they're really trying to teach you. And you're so used to being guarded, or you're so used to dealing with maybe trauma triggers, and it feels like people are just always attacking you. And truth of the matter is, these are individuals who God will bring into your life. They're ordained for your life, so they really want the best for you. So they're trying to teach you, but you see it as an attack. Leveling up is hard because people's not going to deal with your stuff. You're used to coming out your face all type of way and speaking to that man all type of way. That ain't happening on leveling up. You're going to close your mouth and you're going to respect and honor the people that God sends into your life. Leveling up is hard because God is going to call you to do certain things that's going to make your knees buckle. So it's not that you won't have fear. It means that you push past the fear. Once you push past the fear, then boom, grace kicks in and it's easy as pie. Leveling up is hard because everyone wants to attach themselves to you. They see something in you, and many times you haven't even seen that thing within yourself. So everybody wants you in every way. So if you don't have discernment, you're going to be screwed. So you have to now decipher who wants me for me or who wants me for what they see in me. Leveling up is hard because that flesh can no longer control you. So you're constantly having to fast. You're constantly having to stay filled up in the spirit. Leveling up is hard because most things that you're going to be required to do are going to be things that you may not want to do. But it's not about you, boo. Leveling up is hard, but it's worth it. I get so many messages and so many emails about people who feel like they just want to turn back. They just don't think it's worth it. Well, you don't think it's worth it because you haven't reached that pivotal point yet, right? Again, I think we're going to always be climbing ladders, always. I know I still have a long way to go, but I'm high enough now that I know it's way better where God is calling you versus going backwards. Leveling up is hard, but if it was easy, everybody would do it. Everybody would be leveled up. Most people aren't leveled up. Most people will never level up. Most people don't even realize that there is another level or another levels. They think where they are is life, and that's okay, because they may be okay there. It's us as individuals who feel like people can have better because we know these people and we grew up with these people, and it's like, oh, just you gotta want better. Like, just come on, you gotta want better. Some people are okay with being where they are. Let them be. You have to go and get what God has promised you, so when they're ready, you can go back for them. Leveling up is hard because you will be misunderstood. People are going to want you to come places and do things, and you just can't. You just can't because you're disciplined in certain areas, and you have to move by the conviction of God in certain areas. So you want me to come here, or you want me to promote this, and you want me to do this, but that's not in alignment with what God is having me to do, right? But you may take it personal, like, oh, my stuff ain't good enough. You ain't got nothing to do with you and your stuff, right? I'm sure your stuff is fire. I ain't got time because I'm over here doing this, and that, and I can't have you pulling from me right now because I got to stay focused on a whole assignment that you have no idea about. Leveling up is hard because there are going to be places where you go and you're going to want to have fun. And you'll have fun. But there are going to be certain places where there's just no fun. It is all, well, it's no fun in your flesh, I should say. But it's all work. It's all spiritual work. So everybody else around you is having fun in the flesh and just, seem like they have no care in the world. But here you are having to fast 3 days prior. Here you are, you got to just, stand here and be in spirit. But it's fun. Just not fun in your flesh, but it's fun. Leveling up is hard because I don't know. But it's hard. However, don't let it discourage you, because I will say this. It's extremely hard at first before you get your footing. And the worst thing you can do, I've tried to do this many times, I learned my lesson the hard way, is you try to go back and get certain people before you are even stabilized. You got to be stabilized first. It don't mean you have to already be at a certain level first, right? But you got to at least have your footing on the ground, firm enough. But the higher you go, right? Meaning, again, you're going to always be climbing. The higher you go, you're going to encounter different people who are kingdom, destiny people, things like that, destiny helpers, etc., etc. So another reason why it's hard is because most people, this is not me, but most people have a very difficult time being alone and doing things alone. Climbing levels, there's going to be many a times when you are literally called to be alone. I heard Pastor Blake say one time, Pastor R.C. Blake say one time, I think it's one of the most profound things I've ever heard, is that it's not lonely at the top. It's lonely in between levels. The top is not lonely. I'm not saying I'm at the top, right? But I can see at the top. I can see. The top is not lonely. But in between levels, if you're not okay with being alone, if you're a person who, we all are different, right? I just do better in solitude, right? But we all are different. If you're a person who struggles with being alone, you're going to really struggle there, because you're going to want to bring everybody just because you're lonely in a certain season, and you just can't. You're going to prolong your process. But it's worth it, guys. Don't give up. Don't give up, because again, if it was easy, everybody would do it. You're in a very small percentage of individuals who've answered the call. You're chosen. So you're on this journey. Some people are very, very new, right? Some people like myself are maybe 5 years in. Some people are 20, 30 years in. Longer, right? There's so much hell that comes with it, because the enemy ultimately do not want you to reach your destiny season. Seriously, right? There's so much hell. And that's another reason why leveling up is hard, because there's so much you go through and people don't even grasp it. Like the people who are going through it with you, or other people who are going through leveling up, they get it. But just trying to explain to the people who, who still haven't come up yet, you're trying to get them to understand. I don't think like that anymore. You want me to think like the robbing Peter to pay Paul mentality? I got to do everything by red tape now. Like, I just can't. So they feel like, oh, you've changed and you've this. I thought we're supposed. I thought that was life is about, right? Evolving and changing, but I guess not, right? So you got to be very solid in your mind to know that, listen, these things are going to come. People are going to say things to you, right? They're going to feel like you've forgotten about them. You're going to hear all these stuff and it's going to bother you. But you got to keep climbing. 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 You deserve it. I want to share that with you guys. And don't give up, guys. I've read so many emails. People are just very discouraged. And they feel like it's so hard. And it really is. It really is. It's not for the faint of heart. Let me just tell you. Like, I am literally one of the most determined people that I know. I'm a very, very determined person. And I'm telling you, it's hard. It's hard. As a determined person. So you're gonna have some gruffness on this journey, right? You're gonna have a made up mind. Like, listen, I don't care what it is. I ain't turning back. I'm gonna get what God said is mine. Point blank. Period. Either you rolling or you ain't. You guys have a great one. Have a great evening. It's your girl, Kizzy Rock.